Reading out of the book of Psalms 114 and verse 1 from the top. It reads, when Israel went out of Egypt, the house of Jacob, from a people of a strange language. Judah was his sanctuary, Israel his dominion. Okay, verse 3. The sea saw it and fled. Jordan was driven back. The mountains skipped like rams, and the little hills like lambs. Verse 5. What allied thee, O thou sea, that thou fleest, thou Jordan, that thou was driven back? Ye mountains that ye skip like rams, and ye little hills like lambs. It's verse 7. Tremble thou earth at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob. And it's just reminiscing the judgment to the Egyptians over 4,000 years ago. Okay? And this final Exodus, it's close. It's only getting closer, right? Verse 8, this is the last one. It says, which turned the rock into standing water, the flint into fountains of water. Again, this is reminiscent of the first Exodus of the children of Israel. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rukakudash. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, and the apostles in the community, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing the shoot now in sincerity. Again, I'm going to say shalom. This is your brother Yahusab coming at you with a video. And first for YouTube, I'm going to post a copyright disclaimer. Post that first. Fair use disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. The copyright laws of the United States recognize a fair use of copyrighted content. Section 107 of the United States Copyright Act states, notwithstanding provisions of sections 106 and 106A, the fair use of the copyrighted work includes such use by reproduction of copies, phono records, or by any other means specified by that section for a purpose such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teachings, scholarship, research. Is not an infringement of copyright. Copyright disclaimer, fair use. Okay, and we got a series of videos, short videos. I won't make it long. I'm gonna try not to make this video long at all. Okay, had an interesting week. You had the shooting at the Hilton. You had the president. And that story is still going viral. Allegedly, an alleged sniper got into the Hilton where the president was having his dinner with his cabinet. And the story is, which to me is 100% psyop. The guy looked mixed. He's definitely mixed. But he got in with a gun and threatened to assassinate the president. So we gonna run this clip.
Last weekend's White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington has now appeared in federal court. Cole Allen of Torrance, California, is charged with trying to assassinate President Trump and with 2 other firearms allegations. NPR's Ryan Lucas is following Allen's case.
Court papers say in early April, Allen made a reservation at the Hilton Hotel in Washington. That, of course, is the same hotel where the White House Correspondents' Dinner takes place. He allegedly booked a room there for 3 nights starting April 24th. We previously knew they traveled by train from L.A. to Washington via Chicago. The affidavit says Allen arrived in D.C. on Friday afternoon and checked into the hotel just a couple hours later. It also includes what it says is an email that Allen allegedly sent to his family and a former employer shortly before he allegedly tried to storm the ballroom where President Trump was.
NPR's Ryan Lucas reporting. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.
Okay. When you look at that account, the whole thing is a media psyop. The story makes no sense, and at the end of the day, we are talking about the United States president who's supposed to have S-tier security. So it's a bunch of nonsense, and I'm going to say this before we move on to the next video. It's been a lot of little boy that cried wolf scenarios with this current president. You had the ketchup here, you had some Mar-a-Lago incidents, then you had this. But we all knew growing up, about the little boy that cried wolf. What's going to happen when something actually does happen? Did they care when the kid got devoured by the wolves? When he was actually being honest? No one cared. Because these PSYOP stories are out of control. And that was 100%. I'm speaking as a man. That was a media PSYOP. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. Okay. The next account here in New York. Okay. In New York, there was an incident, I believe that was in Queens, where the cops responded to a call. And when they got to the door, I'm shocked those guys made it, but the violence on this earth, fam, is just getting out of control. I'm going to run that video, and I'm going to let y'all be the verdict. So I'm going to run this video first. I'm going to run this clip.
Video of a New York City house explosion. NYPD officers seen here trying to enter this home responding to a domestic dispute before the unthinkable, violently thrown off their feet and into the fence.
Yo! You all right?
Injured officers then rushing back into the chaos to pull crying young children from the rubble. The blast sparked a 5-alarm inferno that spread throughout the 3-family residence, according to officials. Angelica Castellar lived on the top floor with her kids.
I thought we got bombed. I looked in the kitchen area. I saw my microwave. The flames was literally rising up.
Ladder trucks reaching into neighboring homes as 300 first responders battled extremely dangerous conditions. Police have been responding to a 911 call shortly before 3 a.m. involving an intoxicated man armed with a knife. Investigators say 50-year-old en route Parasram forced his way into the basement where relatives lived.
They said he threatened them with a knife and was carrying 2 garbage bags containing yellow canisters with contents unknown.
Sources familiar with the matter say investigators are looking into whether the suspect doused the house with gasoline and ignited the fire. A neighboring home security camera capturing another view. First, you hear the blast before officers are seen scrambling to safety. Remarkably, all of the residents in the now incinerated home made it out.
I want to be clear. We got very lucky today. All right? This could have turned out really differently.
And incredible, those officers jumped into action after surviving that explosion. Emily, I know you have some new reporting tonight on the suspect.
Tom, that's right. Investigators combing through the rubble. That excavator is now where the home once stood. We're learning the suspect did have a documented history of domestic violence, and sources familiar with the matter say that while he's unaccounted for, they did recover a body on the scene here. We are still awaiting official identification.
Okay. You look at that video. They got in front of the door and the house exploded, man. There was one death in that unfortunate episode, and I believe that was Queens, New York, or New York City. There was one person that didn't survive that blast. The cops were pretty courageous to get right up and go back into duty. But these are the times we're living in. Okay? That's one account, I thought that was very crazy. I had to share that, okay? And then you had this laugh of a Secretary of War. This guy's a complete embarrassment, okay? Those of you that don't know Ben Milas, he's a popular YouTuber that has a show called the Midas Touch, okay, network. It's called the Midas Touch Network. We're gonna go into a 6-minute video, okay? He's gonna go into this embarrassment called the Secretary of War. The man deflects, okay? And the sad thing with these parties, and I've seen this over the years, even these years ago, these years back, okay, when I look back, when I tried to get into politics, I was more so Republican slightly, but once I seen they gave partial truths and the liberals gave little tits and tats with truths, at the end of the day, it's two horns of the same beast. Both of those parties is wicked. But nothing's more goofy and retarded than this laughable Secretary of War. So we're gonna run this clip.
Protests are erupting on Capitol Hill today as Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is now testifying before the United States Senate. He previously testified before the House of Representatives, where, in my opinion, he perjured himself over and over again under cross-examination. In my opinion, he's doing even a worse job today before the United States Senate. I want to share with you the moment during his testimony moments ago where a heckler in the room where Pete Hegseth was testifying shouted, "You are a war criminal. You should be arrested. You are a despicable human being." Let's play this clip.
Real muscle behind our warriors.
Further interruptions of our hearing will be treated in like manner. We appreciate.
Then, as Pete Hegseth was heading to the room to testify, there were also protesters shouting, "War criminal! War criminal!" I'll just share with you a small clip of that. Let's play this clip.
You should be disgusted with yourself.
You need to be arrested. Why did you order the bombing? Why did you order the bombing?
Now, before his testimony, Pete Hegseth was posting weird AI cartoon images of Franklin the Turtle, and he wrote, "Franklin testifies before Congress." No, actually, war criminal testifies before Congress is what it should be called. And let me show you the moment where Democratic Senator Mark Kelly cross-examined Hegseth on just that, where Senator Kelly said, "Do you stand by your statement of no mercy, no quarter, which is a war crime?" Here, play this clip.
And I'm going to give you one more chance to address a question here. It's my understanding that the definition of no quarter is that legitimate offers of surrender will be refused or that detainees will be executed. Is that your understanding of the definition?
The only entity that would kill detainees or target civilians is the Iranians, and they're the ones being crushed.
So
the Iranian military and their military capabilities.
The question is,
I disagree completely with your articulation.
No, do you understand the definition that I just read you? Because that's the definition from your department's law of war manual. Is that your understanding? And I'm gonna just get to the point here.
We fight to win and we follow the law, Senator.
Okay, so your quote was, "We will keep pushing, keep advancing, no quarter, no mercy for our enemies." And yesterday, you did not clarify whether you stand by this statement. So I'm going to give you another opportunity to clarify if that is what you meant. Do you stand by that statement you made on March 13th?
We have untied the hands of our warfighters. We fight to win, and we follow the law.
Okay, so you're not clarifying. So you stand by that statement. So you're the Secretary of Defense. The things you say matter. And your response here right now makes it clear to the American people exactly why you are not right for this job.
It makes it clear to our enemies, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, that was an important question by Senator Mark Kelly as well, because we know that Hegeseth is trying to criminally prosecute and administratively retaliate against Mark Kelly for warning our service members that they should not be following unlawful orders, and it would be an unlawful order to show no mercy, no quarter. It's quite literally a war crime. Next up, you have Democratic Senator Rosen cross-examining Hegeseth about the use of AI to kill people. And one of the things that we all suspect is that AI was likely used in the killing of the elementary school in Manab, where over 160 little girls were slaughtered by Hegeseth, Trump, and the rest of this vile authoritarian regime. Let's play this clip.
I want you to confirm that whether or not there will always be a human in the loop when AI is used in a kill chain for lethal targeting decisions. Will there always be a human in a loop, or will AI make the decision? You said this to...
We follow the law and humans make decisions.
So you will confirm what you said to Senator Rounds, that a human will always be in the loop when AI is used.
Which is why that's part of our terms of service anyway.
You know,
it's how we operate.
All I want to say is this. There is a DOD directive, 3000.09, which mandates that autonomous and semi-autonomous weapon systems be designed to allow commanders and operators to exercise appropriate levels of human judgment over use of force. That is in the DOD.
That's why we follow the law, Senator.
So the answer is yes, Mr. Secretary.
The answer is we follow the law. Absolutely.
I think this is more important than following the law. I think that people want to know that AI isn't going to make lethal decisions, and it is critically important.
AI is not making lethal decisions.
That's what we want to hear. We're going to follow on that one.
Next up, Hegeseth had no response for Democratic Senator Gillibrand when she questioned him about why the Pentagon division that's supposed to help the U.S. military avoid targeting civilians. Why were there major cuts to this division? Here, play this clip.
Let's talk about how you're prosecuting the war. What is your response to targeting that has resulted in the destruction of schools, hospitals, civilian places? Why did you cut by 90% the division that's supposed to help you not target civilians? And do you know the impact of a strategic failure at a war when you have so many civilian casualties? You may have tactically completed a mission well, but strategically is not meeting your goals because of the harms to civilians. What is the cost of that?
Let's leave time for an answer.
Okay. There's your so-called Secretary of State. Okay. That's an embarrassment. And the Department of Justice is an embarrassment. The so-called authorities that's supposed to take down war criminals like Hegeseth and this entire administration, no arrest. The man deflects. The man deflects everything that's thrown at him instead of being honest. And that is the truth. That is one of the many faces of racism, white supremacy, I might say. This so-called Secretary of State or Secretary of War, okay, that's an embarrassment. But all of Congress is an embarrassment, because if they were legit, if they were really good to the so-called taxpayers, he'd be arrested. The president would be arrested. Like I said, his entire cabinet should be arrested, chiefly from starting a war that they had no business starting. Okay. Iran didn't attack America on February 28th. America attacked them. And now America and their allies causing the whole world to go out of control, spiraling out of control. And things are going to get bad for this country. And it's really the Most High Judgment's place. But one more. There's a 1-minute clip from the Midas Touch. Okay. Because this Secretary of War, Hegeseth, whatever the hell his name is, he says they're trying to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. So we're going to play this clip.
Next up, Hegseth starts to say that the biggest adversary right now the United States faces in the world, not China, it's not Russia. He says it's congressional Democrats and some Republicans who criticize him and who criticize Trump and who criticize the unlawful war. He goes, they're the biggest threats right now in this country. What a despicable, traitorous thing to say. Here, play this clip.
Unfortunately, as I said yesterday, and I'll say it again today, the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless naysayers and defeatist words of congressional Democrats and some Republicans. Defeatists from the cheap seats who 2 months in seek to undermine the incredible efforts that have been undertaken and the historic nature of taking on a 47-year threat with the courage no other president has had, to great success and great opportunity for preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon.
Okay, as you recall, they allege they don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I got news for all y'all. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret that the mainstream media is actually lying about. And it's a secret. Iran, I don't want to say it's a secret, but it's something Iran's not being honest about. You know what? Iran have nuclear weapons. They may not have the means to build one, but they have China, they have Russia, and they have North Korea, and they have Pakistan. Who's to say they hadn't been armed by one of their allies already? The only reason why they hadn't used the nuke, because they're waiting to see who's going to shoot first. Y'all remember a couple of weeks ago, the president said he was going to blow Iran into the Stone Age, and you had this nuclear hype going about. I know I was, forgive me, I was very excited. I did a couple of videos about, this judgment being imminent. I was wrong, but it was a massive hype. And I'll say again, I'm certain there was many accounts like that during the Cuban Missile Crisis when people were thinking it was just the end of the world, okay? Or the coming judgment. But it didn't happen yet. But you guys remember those posts I did regarding Samsung option. Don't forget, the Israelis is really low on fuel to this day. And their prime minister or the next to him, his lead, they can still hit that kill switch, man. So it's a lot of things that could rein in the E-Day. Okay, the E-Day is that's the final exodus, doomsday. And that doomsday, when this thing happened, it'll be the deliverance of the 12 tribes and judgment of the wicked. But there's one last clip that I want to play. Okay, I want to be real clear with YouTube. I believe that's from, let me pull this clip, last one. I definitely want to share this. It's a 5-minute clip, okay? Yeah, it's from the times of Israel. No, it's from the times of India, excuse me. Now, this video, I'm going to let this video speak for itself. You have conservative Israelis that's going to give a close truth. It won't be the full truth, but I'm going to let them speak for themselves. I'm going to play this clip, and you guys be the verdict, okay? So I'm going to run this one.
Flames lit up the streets of Jerusalem on April 23rd. But this wasn't a clash with an external enemy. This was dissent from within. As Israel marked another year since its founding, a group of ultra-Orthodox Jews took to the streets not to celebrate, but to reject the existence of the country itself. The protest unfolded in Mea Shearim, one of the most conservative religious neighborhoods in Jerusalem, where supporters of the anti-Zionist group Neturei Karta marched through narrow streets, chanting slogans and holding banners carrying bold and critical messages, such as Judaism and Zionism are diametrically opposed.
The Zionist state challenges God.
Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and State of Israel does not represent world Jewry. Crowds repeated chants as speakers addressed the gathering through microphones, reinforcing their rejection of Zionism, a nationalist political ideology that calls for the creation of a national state for the Jewish people that led to the creation of Israel in historic Palestine. Children were seen holding Palestinian flags, some inscribed in Arabic, English, and Hebrew, with text that read, quote, "Jews are not Zionists," unquote. In one of the most striking scenes, Israeli flags were set ablaze. Children stood nearby, watching as flames consumed the state. One protester described the state as a betrayal of Judaism, claiming it threatens religious identity and traditions and calling for its end.
Okay, we are here after 78 years of rebellion against God and His purposes, in which a Zionist state was established that came to trample every trace of Judaism and Jews. And they want to, aside from wanting to draft us into the army of destruction, they want Jewish identity to be gone, and Jewish dress to be gone, and every Jewish marker to be gone. They want touches of Jewish symbols within Zionism. And so we solemnly declare here today, after 78 long and arduous years of rebellion, that on the anniversary of the day this state was first established, we mourn, we fast, we walk the city streets in sackcloth and ashes, and we continue to hope and fervently pray for the swift and total dissolution of this state.
Another participant said his community considered themselves the quote-unquote real Jews and argued that according to their faith, Jews are forbidden from establishing a state before the arrival of the Messiah.
Announce in the whole world that we are the Jews, the real Jews, and we are not allowed by our faith to have any state until our Mashiach will come. And until then, we have no state. We are ordered to be managed by the nations, under the nations. And they are not Jews, absolutely not Jews. They confuse the whole world. They acting like Jews. It's like Hollywood. They're acting like Jews. They speak our language, and the whole world fell by believing them that they are the real Jews. But actually, they are not the Jews. They are not real Jews, and unfortunately, we are stuck in this place. We know with no possibility to leave this place, but we really have, by our faith, to leave this place and go to out of Israel, what they call Israel, yeah? And I will bless every nation who will give us the opportunity to be their citizens, because we are people with no citizenship. We have no place in the world except this place. And we are willing to leave this place just to prove the world that we are not them. And everybody who wants to know the whole truth, should read the book Vayoel Moshe of Admor Misatmer, the chief rabbi of Satmer. He wrote a book. You should get it translated to French, to English, to Japanese, and you should know the truth about all this thing that is called the State of Israel, which is, forgive me for the word, and forgive my beard, I never use this word, but there is no better word to say, this is real bullshit.
Okay. The conservatives spoke for themselves, and I'm gonna leave that there. Okay. They didn't tell the full truth, but they gave a close truth, right? Let's get Revelations 2:9. Okay. They didn't tell the full truth, but they gave a partial tribute. Okay. Let's get the book of Revelations, chapter 2 and verse 9. Okay. Y'all saw it. I ain't saying nothing. I let the Israelis do the speaking with that one. Okay. I'm going to leave it there. But let's get the scriptures. Let's get the scriptures. All right. Let's get the scriptures. Let's see what the Most High say about, that setup. Reading out of the book of Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Okay? But they gave an interesting take on what's going on for what it's worth. They really did. Slakia. Okay? I thought that was the most interesting video I ran into last week. Okay? But we're going to read this again. Revelation chapter 2 and 9. Let's see what the Most High truly say. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Okay? Isaiah 2 and 4, Micah 4 and 3. Never happened. Okay? We're not in the new covenant. Let's get Hebrews 8 and 8. Let's get Hebrews 8 and 8 real quick. Let's get the book of Hebrews chapter 8 and 8. Let's read it. Let's read it. Hebrews chapter 8 and 8. It reads, for finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, said the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. There goes that first Exodus for 4,000 years ago. Because they continued not my covenant, and I regarded them not, said the Lord. For this is the covenant. This is verse 10. Hebrews 8 and 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. Verse 11, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest. Okay. Verse 12, for I will be merciful to their unrighteousness and their sins, and their iniquities will I remember no more. That covenant never came to pass. Okay? The nuclear destruction has not manifest. Okay? Isaiah 66:15 to 17 has never happened. You know what that means? We're not in that new covenant. Okay? We're not in that new covenant, but we're gradually getting closer and closer to that. But for that to manifest, the ICBM's got to hit. Okay, the great judgment day has to happen. That never happened yet. So for all these Bible Belt apologetics talking about winning new covenant, they're on crack cocaine. Okay, and when you read the so-called old covenant, Jeremiah 31, I'd say 31 down to at least 34, 35. There was, how do you say, the nations, the Gentile nations were never included into any of the covenants. The covenant was only given to the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And it's very important in these last days for the children of Israel to repent and keep the commandments. Okay? The God Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, from Abram's vision, Genesis 12:15 or 15:12. Y'all know what I'm talking about. When he had the dog vision and the calamities that the Israelites will face as captives. Okay? That horror of darkness. Okay? that was only the 12 tribes. But that account began in Genesis, and all the prophecies applied to the Israelites all the way to Revelations. So the covenant, which we're not in, okay, that's only for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay. The 12 gates, okay, it's only for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay. Now you have Revelation 7, you have that great multitude coming out of all nations, kindreds, and tongues. That's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, because Israel was scattered to the four corners of the earth, and they were scattered among the nations. Okay. So the whole account's for the 12 tribes of Israel, not the Ku Klux Klan and Keith Hegeseth. Okay, your circus clown of the Department of War, Secretary of State. He's an idiot. Okay, but this is what we're going to do, or this is what the Israelites need to do before this coming doomsday, judgment day. We're going to end it here. Okay, shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This is what the Israelites need to do before this sudden judgment day. Okay? We're going to read out of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36, and verse 11. This is what the Lord wants us to do before the doomsday manifests. Okay, that great judgment day. Because it's coming. I can't tell the day, the hour, the year, the season. I can't tell you any of that. I did get excited again with all the, I'm going to blow Iran into the Stone Ages. So we all thinking nuclear war. Setback, didn't happen, but it's going to happen at some point. Sirach chapter 36 and verse 11. It reads, "Gather all the tribes of Jacob together, and inherit thou them as from the beginning." Verse 12, "O Lord, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Israel, whom thou hast named thy firstborn." Okay, Israel is the chosen. 12 tribes of the children of Israel is chosen. You can read that throughout the Exodus accounts and so many other accounts. Okay, Israel is the chosen, not the Ku Klux Klan, not racism, white supremacy. Okay, it's only for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, who the world called Jesus Christ. He's coming to save the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Luke 168 to about 70, at least 72. He's only coming for the 12. Okay, not the enemy. Okay, he's not coming to save the Klanmen, the KKK, Christianity, Ku Klux Klan. Okay, he's not coming for them. He's coming to destroy them. Okay, Sirach 36 and verse 13. "O be merciful unto Jerusalem, thy holy city, the place of thy rest." And Yahushua is going to give, he's going to bring rest to the Israelites, immortality. He's going to set Israel on high forever and ever. With that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the mighty men, the elders, the apostles, and the community, waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel in these last days. Peace and blessings to everyone doing this truth and humble sincerity. Israel, I love y'all. We got next. Shalom, family.